on Rotten. I don't know if it's nice. Fresh, but yeah, dude, it's pretty good. His House. I suggest you guys check it out. I think Wes was gonna like this one the most too.
His House. I'll definitely give that a watch.
And those are my two. I'll pass it to you, Wes.
Nice. So I haven't really had a chance to watch much. So I want to rec a new video game. The Dark Pictures anthology just released Little Hope, like maybe a week ago, which is the second in this anthology, the second game, which is these are like cinematic games where like all your choices lead you down a certain path that takes you down to a certain ending, essentially. And I love stuff like this, and of course it's based around like horror themes. So yeah, you guys should check this out. I think it's for Xbox One and PS4. And I'm pretty sure I'm sure you can, because we're on the cusp of everybody's getting their next gen video games, so I'm sure these will be transferable over to the new units as well. But yeah, Little Hope, very good stuff.
I can see why you like that. If people don't know, that shit's sick. It's like a bunch of anthologies and like short stories. It's pretty dope. Like they should really get into that if you have the time. It's basically like watching a horror film, if anything. Like that's why you could rec as like a horror film, but it's just a game. It's pretty dope.
And for people who are not typical gamers, I feel like the game engine is very user friendly, where you can pick it up just because you're a lover of movies or horror films, whatever makes you
definitely has its hook.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely has its hook.
But it's not hard to play is what I'm trying to say. It's pretty easy. So if you're not familiar with video games, give it a try anyway, and I think you will be pleasantly surprised. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
All right, so this week it is Anaris's pick. We're talking about The Platform. It's from 2019. It runs at 1 hour and 34 minutes. It's a thriller film. It's got a solid 79 on Rotten, and it is unrated. The film is told from the perspective of a young man named Goreng and his struggles within a vertical prison in which each cell is forced to feed off of a single platform as it makes its way down each level. The Platform, or El Hoyo, which is Spanish for the hole, was directed by Galdar Lloreda and premiered at the 2019 Toronto International Film Festival. From there, the film struck up a deal with Netflix, which led to the drop back in March of 2020. So this is pretty recent. The director adapted this from a stage play, which caused them to add more activities that would make sense cinematically. The set only consisted of 2 tiers, and the rest were actually added in post for obvious reasons. Overall, this film sets out to display how humans react to one another once put in an extraordinary situation. One that touches on capitalism using this special gourmet food as its catalyst. Thank you.
Beautiful. Nice, man.
So
I get
before we get started, I wanted to ask you, Tiny, what made you? I know you love this movie since it came out, and you're a big backer of it. But what made you want to do like an entire episode dedicated to it? What's your what turns you on to this type of film? What do you love about it?
My take on this is that I thought this movie was very interesting. When it came out and when I watched it, I was like, damn, it has like elements in movies I like. It's very gory. It has kind of deep meaning, a deep written story. I don't know, like when I watched it, and it was written, and speaking of video games, it was recommended to me through one of my homies from Mexico City. And he was like, you gotta watch that. Like, this is those movies, like, he has very good taste. And that's how I watched His House. But going back to this, this is a really good movie. I think it's underrated still, and I think many people haven't took the dive, but I can see why. It's very, very eerie, and not for most people. But I think like if you could ignore the eerie parts and see the story has a little richness to it. I thought it's different, even though it does use elements. Like I think you said that it's more like The Cube. I said it was like Snowpiercer. It does take those small elements from other movies, and I thought that is what made it good. And it's good that most of these actors, I mean, we wouldn't really see them because they're not American, but they all did good and put some effort into this one, and that's my take on it. I don't know what you guys really think about it.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Actually, I thought it was pretty interesting, the concept of it. Like, I do agree with you when you say it's kind of pulling maybe a little bit inspirational, or maybe not. Maybe it's just so similar. But from Snowpiercer, I do see those kind of mirroring each other a little bit in the way that it's kind of broken down. And but I really did enjoy this, and the fact that it was in a different language other than English. It didn't bother me too much at all. Once you get into it and you kind of just sucked into the film, you kind of forget that and kind of just lose yourself almost in the movie. And I really do like. It's crazy because you get to see how far people will go in times of like desperation, especially like the old guy who he's like who his cellmate is basically.
Yeah.
That guy was really creepy towards the end of his screen time, basically. That was,
Trimasi? Yeah, that guy was.
Yeah, my little snail.
Yeah,
that guy was. He was getting a little weird towards the end, but yeah, I like to kind of see the growth of the character all the way to the end of the movie, and how he's kind of on the brink of insanity about halfway through. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on all that, dude, because that's exactly what the movie does. It's a lot of insanity, and you get to see it. Like, it doesn't happen slowly. It happens through days and months. Like, it's just insane. I don't know why these people would fucking sign up to this. But I guess the moral of the story is that they were getting a diploma. I don't know if you catch that in the movie. They get like a degree or something if they make it or something. But yeah, I want to hear Wes's take on it before we get into more talking about it.
Yeah, so this is definitely my cup of tea type of film for sure. I definitely, I'm glad I was able to. I never got a chance to watch it when you guys. I know you and Victor wrecked it when it came out a few months ago on the show when we were doing it together. So I'm glad you picked it as a focus, because I had forgotten about it, and then so I was able to come back around and check it out for myself, and I had a lot of fun with this. It's very dark material, but it's very relevant to, I feel like, even maybe not even just the States, but the world, how the world kind of works, and how it's kind of dog eat dog in society. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what it's really trying to touch upon, using like a kind of science fiction platform, but they're really talking about the different tiers or classes of people, which is why I think you guys you can tell that it's it looks a lot very similar to Snowpiercer, even down to the cinematography style, the color schemes, the colorists, every choices, everything is it looks very kind of dark and grim, just the way that Snowpiercer looked, in my opinion. And so yeah, I thought it's very fun, it's very gory, but I feel like the goriness and everything makes sense it's not, in my opinion, it didn't feel like it was cheap or for shock value. It's all kind of earned, and I really respected that, and how it kind of dives into people having to resort to cannibalism and how fucked up that would look. Yeah, I think that it does a very, very good job at kind of not glorifying gore. Because a lot of horror films will make you, I feel like you're like, oh, like that's cool, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily gross you out, but this looks so real and haunting, and the things that these people face, you know, especially because they're gassed every few months and, you know, forced to be put on a different level. Some levels better than others. It's just like you have no idea what's coming around the bend, and I love that it's mostly from the perspective of Goreng, because he's such a nice dude, and I feel like you see his, like, psychologically him unraveling the entire way through, and they do a very good job at kind of presenting that as well through a movie that I feel like relies a lot on what you're seeing visually as opposed to dialogue, which is why I think it works as a Spanish film. If you don't speak Spanish, you know what I mean? It's not really a factor, because you're more you can follow what's going on purely on what you're seeing visually, and it's visually stimulating, and I love that about it. Especially finding out in the production how they only built a few tiers and the rest of it was, you know, kind of CGI. I can't imagine how nerve-wracking it was to try to film this and have it be cohesive and look as it like this intimidating kind of whole, if you will, actually exist. I can't imagine. Yeah, you know how hard it was to really get that. Like even in post. Trying to just have it all come together, but they did a very good job. I enjoyed every minute of this, and thanks, Tiny, for picking this. It was a very fun focus. Sad that the other guys missed out on talking about it. Hopefully they watched it anyway. Actually, I will say this. I have this for you, Tiny. So Chris couldn't make it this week. I'm not sure why, but he wanted me to tell you that he thought he thinks that you redeemed yourself from Basket Case with this one, and he says that this one is a 8.5 or a 9 for him. So
nice, sick. Well, that's nice to hear, man. Yeah. Shout outs to Chris and shout outs to Diego. I was gonna say that this movie is, like you said, it's grounded. I don't know how to, even though they're like 333 fucking flights up, it's very grounded, right, dude. And there's no, like the totem poles are crazy, like, for these people. Like, I just couldn't believe that. You say if someone was richer than you, but they're below you, they're still pieces of shit. Like, that's like the moral of that in this movie is insane. If someone's above you, like, I don't know how to describe that. Like, the way they made that, like, the way they did that, like, it's so insane. Because there's certain scenes where you see people and they get... My favorite thing is they all get to bring one thing in there with them. Mm-hmm. And that's what defines everybody in this whole movie. Basically, like, there's people out there to murder, like Trimagasi, obviously. He knew bringing that samurai. To me, though, do you guys think this is dystopian or, like sort of, it can't be modern day. Like, that's why I'm so confused at watching this sometimes, and we never get to see the outside. Do you think it's dystopian, or do you think they're in like some basically near future? Like,
I'd say like a near future, maybe. I mean, within the next 20 years.
I think.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that maybe they did it so that it can last as a timeless piece, because there's nothing you can really, and that's why you were so confused, is there's nothing really presented in it where you can be like, this is the time period that they're presenting. And I think that's why they did that specifically on purpose, because it's never gonna, this movie will never be dated, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks so good, and even though there's CGI, they don't release too much of it besides for certain blood and like when they fall through, I guess. Mm-hmm. And you can see them fall down more. I don't really see too much CGI.
No,
that's how good I think it is.
I think the only real CGI, and you really it's not really, it goes by so fast. It's just the different tiers when you're looking up and down, and it looks good. It never bothered me when the people are falling